Okay, hello and welcome to a video review / lecture on lists. Spell it right. All right, so lists, which I spelled lits the first time, so it's like it's anyway. Lists in Python. So we've also heard that they are often called arrays. It's not exactly the same as an array, because an array is what we call static. It can't grow. It stays the same size the whole time. And list. Meanwhile, a list can continue to change size. What that means is that while both of them might look something like this, just a list of data, once you've made your array, it stays that size. You can change the numbers inside of it, but you can't actually add on a new number. Meanwhile, lists can get a new one. So that's a little fun fact for you. In Python, we're just going to be working with lists. All right. There are a few things you need to know about lists in order to effectively use them. I would definitely say that a big part of that would be just to start off making them. All right. So conceptually, as long as you pay attention during class, conceptually you know that a list is just a list of data that can grow or shrink. So to start that off, I'm actually going to go ahead and put this into a function. Remember that that's what a function looks like. And we need to make sure to call our function. Which doesn't do anything. Oops. Let's get some things to do first. Yeah, it's giving us an error because we don't actually have anything in here yet. But if I were to go ahead and put something in here, now we're fine and it runs. All right, so let's go ahead and keep working with this. All right, so for an example, we're going to start by just making a new list. And the way we declare one of these new lists is with these brackets. Every time you see these brackets, I want you to be thinking about lists. If you go into CSA next year, I hope that you then think about arrays instead. For any Java or C++ programmers currently, these are the things you use for arrays rather than lists. But in this language, that's a list. All right, let's just go ahead and add a few elements in. We use the keyword append, which means to add to the end. So we're going to append just a few numbers. And there we are. Now I also want to do something else. I want to go ahead and I'll append another number, but I also want to go ahead and append a word. And that can do single or double quotes. But as you can, I'll put them back to single quotes. And you'll see that if we try to print out our list, we have no problem. It goes and prints out hello, no matter what. This is because of a property of lists, lists are heterogeneous. There we go. Lists are heterogeneous, meaning they can have multiple data types, multiple kinds of data inside, which is a really useful thing to have, actually, because now you can have numbers and words and numbers with decimals all in there, and there's no issue. So far you've seen how to make a new list, how to add things to it, and then how to print it all out. Those are just a few of the most basic operations. Another one you should probably have is being able to figure out how long it is. The way to find that is a little different than append, and you'll see soon remove. The way you do this is not list up anything. You instead do lang parentheses. And you'll notice it comes up idle anyway comes up with this suggestion that len takes some kind of object and returns an integer. What does that mean? Well, an integer is a whole number, and an object is something like an array. So if you give it an array, it's going to return, so that means this is going to return a number, a whole number. In this case, 5. Now, based on the fact that I said we were going to get the length of the list, and this word is len, the first 3 letters of length, and it returned 5, which just happens to be the number of items in this list, what do you think this function does? Go ahead and pause the video and see if you can figure it out. Anyway, another basic operation you're going to need is remove. To remove something, you do actually call it like append. Again, length is the one thing that's a little different here. But to remove it, what we do is we remove it based on a certain item. So if I want to remove 16, I will put in 16. And you'll notice that results in getting rid of 16. But I'm actually going to remove hello, because it doesn't really fit in with the rest of our data. This would be like if we had a survey, and we asked for someone's age, and they wrote down hello instead. So we got rid of that, because that was bad data. All right, just really one more operation I want to show you, and then just some things we can do with it. And that's sorting. Now, you'll notice so far we've added in our numbers 10, 23, 16, 121.78, which aren't really in any kind of real order. So then we go ahead and sort it, and you'll notice it doesn't remove anything, but it does move around the 16 and the 23, so that way we actually do have ascending order from least ascending all the way up to greatest. And this works even though some of our numbers are, have decimals in them or not. Now, if let's say we didn't remove hello, that gets sorted just to the end, and it's a kind of little fun thing for you. But we are going to remove hello. Anyways, so that's some of the basic operations. That's pretty much all the basic operations I need you to have for right now. And now let's go ahead and do just 2 more things. The first one, so I hope you've gotten yourself ready, and here it is. The first thing we want to do, let's actually add something a user wants into our list. And by that I mean we're going to add something that the user types in into our list. Now the way we do that, make a new variable. There are a few ways to do this. This is the way I'm going to show you. I'll show you another way next. We say value equals input from the user, enter something. Pretty easy so far. And then maybe you've guessed. What command do you think I'm going to use to add value to our list? Okay. Thing is append with that variable. And you'll notice if I print out that list, it'll reflect the new thing that I've typed in. Now, we said earlier that that we wanted our list to be of only numbers. We didn't want any text. So we're going to change this from raw input, which takes in word values called string. We're going to change it to input so that it tries to match what I put in. So notice if I put in like 54, it puts in 54 without those quotes. If I tried to use raw input and give it 50 and give it 54, oops, wait. Okay. And try to give it 54, it gives it quotes. It doesn't understand that this is a number. Change it to input, and it will actually accept it as a number and add it as a number without those quotes. Now the second way you can do this is, hopefully you've gotten that, but the second way we can do this is actually without a variable. Instead, I'm going to cut this and paste it into here. Because input's going to return a value, I can just append it like that. So watch this, I add 54, and there it is. So that's just by doing list.append, and then inside of our append parentheses, I put in that input statement. And I printed it on out. Now, some things we can do with that. Let's say, all right, we have a list of numbers, correct? Those are all numbers. Now, this is where I'm going to actually leave behind any new operators, any new operations, and instead just move on to doing smart things with our stuff. So I'm going to make a new function. If you just want the operations, you're good. You can go ahead and check out. Thanks for sitting through this 12-minute long video. Otherwise, if you want to see an operation, a feature with loops, here you are. So let's say, for instance, I want to add 1 to all elements in the list. Well, the way I would do that, and I'm actually going to go ahead and call it right here. I'm actually going to go ahead and call it right here. And this example is going to add 1 to every single element in the list. And the way that we can do that is with a loop. So let's go ahead and hopefully you're remembering our loops. So from our last lecture, or the lecture on loops anyway, I'm going to bring this up here so you can see it again. Remember that our thing with these repetitions is that we were able to make this structure, this iteration structure, that that did things based on a number that went upwards. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do that again and show you how that works. Now, whereas last time we just simply said for I in wait, I meant to actually copy that. Okay, for I in range 0 through some number, we printed it. Well, if we do that right now, it just, that doesn't really do anything. That just prints out numbers. Doesn't exactly do anything for us. Just counts 0 to 9. So here's what we do to actually make some use of this thing. You know that elements in a list, hopefully remembering that elements in a list can be accessed by calling the name of that list, doing a bracket, and then doing a number. So if I wanted to print the element at 3, it would go and print that element at 3. So it would go 0, 1, 2, 3, and print out that 121.78. Just show that again. Okay. So you remember that each of these can be accessed by a number. Now, if we wanted to go ahead and change each number one by one, we'd probably do something like this. And then just copy and paste it. 1, 2, 3. However, that does take a lot of lines of code. And what if we don't have 4 elements? Well, then you might say, well, okay, if the length of our list is greater than 1, then in that case we have this that we can do. And if the length of our list is greater than 2, we can do this one, and so on and so forth, which would be actually really annoying, especially since you're not able to handle going all the way up to 100 unless you write 100 lines of code. So I'm going to go and get rid of that, because this is not how you'd want to do it. But it is this general structure that we're going to take. And we're going to put it into our loop. So that way, it's not at 0. Because notice, we want 0 to change to 1, change 2, change 3. We put I here and here where we want it to change. The 1 stays the same because we're just always adding 1 to all of them. Now, that's still going to get us an error. I'm going to get rid of these other lines so we don't have to see them anymore. But that's going to end up with an error. Okay. That's going to end up with an error because we don't have 10 of them. It says that list index is out of range because when we try to get to one of the elements, that is, when we try to get to a place that's not in our list, remember our list only has a length of, actually we haven't printed the length of our list in a while. Let's go and print that out. So yeah, the length of our list, that breaks, oh well. Oops. The length of our list, as you see, is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means once we try to access the 6th element, because this is going 0 to 10, we have a problem. So to handle this, I'm actually going to take this length part, and I'm going to get rid of the 10, and instead I'm going to have this range go from 0 all the way up to the length of our list. So that even if our list is 0 elements in size, it's not going to break. And it will add 1 onto every one of those elements. You will see. So even the one that we type in now. So notice, before I've done that for loop that goes from 0 to the full length of the list, changing each element at I to being its own self plus 1. And then after we've done that, it actually does add 1. So that's a good way of combining loops with our lists. We call it, when we go from 0 to the length of a list, we call that traversing a list. And it's a pretty useful thing to have under your tool belt. Okay, I do believe that that's all I really have for you. So, you have a good one. I hope you got it. If not, ask me questions.